Right, here we are again. So we're just getting our stuff. Got the rod, got the bait. Sorry about the camera all going all over the place. But so we just dug a load of bait and just making sure the windows are all shut and all that sort of stuff. So we got a couple of hours fishing, just on a spot I sort of go. Just got one rod, and we're just going to fish for a couple of hours just to see if we can get bass for dinner. So yeah, I was just thinking about what sort of hooks to use and things like that, and I was like thinking I could probably just put a 1/0 on the bottom hook, and on the top hook I'll probably go for a slightly bigger 2/0, something like that. That's why if I put two 2/0s on, you rule out a flatfish, and you just never know, you might get a special flatfish on a tide, and it's just because you didn't have a certain size hook, you might just miss out because they've got quite small mouths. But a 1/0 is quite big, but you'll still get a flatty on it once he's had a good nibble on it. Size 1 is my preferred for a flatfish, but it's yeah, last time I done the video, Operation Sea Bass, we had two 2/0s on. 2/0s I'd say about perfect, you just really focus on bass. But I mean, you'll get them on a size 4 or a size 6 or something like that, you know, if you got them. But you've got a better chance of snaring them on a 2. Yeah, but I just got this flatfish vibe. But alright, I'll see you in a bit. Christ, look at the size of these waves. Look. Just spinning there. The size of them buggers. Big swell rolling in, look, big surgy sea. Almost lure fishable. If you look a bit further out there, that's not going to be many days away. The wind stays the same direction. You'll be able to get on here with a lure. He is, look. But look at this. If that ain't a proper bass sea, I don't know what is. Look at that. So I might put those 2/0 hooks on again then. Look at this one though. He's going for me. Got my name on it. I was fortunate enough to live in Aussie for a little bit and sat around Sydney area and do some of the rock fishing around there. It's quite dangerous. I was a bit younger then, I was about 30 then, that's a while back now. But when you're that age and you sort of go from doing this sort of fishing to sort of catching different species and stuff, you know, you go for it, you do it. And we had some nice days there in Sydney fishing off the rocks, but bugger, they get some big seas over there, some swells, and they sort of got this national rock fishing safety thing going on over there where they've got to wear life jackets now if you want to do it, but back then you didn't have to, because a lot of Asians families would go and do it and they'd all get swept off the rocks and drowned basically, and a lot of people have died over the years, hundreds. And anyway, I used to sort of set up on my way and do all that sort of stuff, and I think I can account one time I nearly got caught out, but I was smart enough just to read the rules, and they said about rock fishing around that area of the coast, I said before you start fishing just wait for 20 minutes, because in the 20-minute window that's when you'll get one of the sets will come through, so you'll really get to see what it can potentially do. A lot of the times I went down there fishing perfectly safe conditions, you know, not too bad at all, but there was times, because I was working, you can only sort of do it on a Saturday or a Sunday. So I used to sort of just go anyway. And there was one time I waited for 20 minutes and I got down to this ledge. It's on Bluefish Point, Sydney. It's on the north side, near Manly. And I just started to head off, and I started meandering my way down to get to in position to start lure fishing. It was a bit dicey, but when you're 30, you're like, oh yeah, whatever. But I did wait the 20 minutes, and just before I sort of stepped onto this platform where I usually go and fish, this fucking wall of water just come out of nowhere, and that swept right in this area, and that would have taken me with it. And I was actually, that frightened the life out of me. And I was just like saying, I was actually committed to getting on that ledge. Another sort of another 10 seconds and I would have probably just jumped down. But yeah, that was, they do get a lot of fatalities over there. But yeah, no, I've had one or two hairy moments, if I'll be brutally honest, but over fishing overseas, but that was one of them. And but this is, it's just a big swell, nothing too bad at all. Right, so here's the rig. So I've got a 4 ounce, slightly overloading that rod, but only by 1 ounce. But I've tried it before and it works fine. So, and that's the rig. 1.0 with a 2.0 above. And we'll just try that. Shock leader, £50. So let's see what we've got in here. So we've got some worms, lugworms. 1, 2, 3. Just going for one decent bait. Instead of messing around with having smaller hooks on and things like that. Well, so messing around with smaller hooks, but having a hook higher up. Sea's a bit lumpy, it's bass really. So. But the 1.0 here, that'll still snare a flatfish if there's one there. You might get a place. You just never know. Turbot or something. If we're lucky. If we're really lucky. So we've got 3 worms on here, that'll do for a start. 3 good sized worms. We'll try that. Slide it down a bit. Slide the hook down, that's okay. That's okay, he says. That's okay. So we just, I just want to check things first on the reel. So it looks like that's been laid pretty correctly. Sometimes that's not, and you have to just take it all off. That's on there. Magnets are on max, and we just guide it nice and neatly. The first cast is usually the most catastrophic if it's going to be. So I always take it a bit easy on the first cast until the gear's got accustomed to whatever's going on. I'm just checking the knots. Should be okay from last time. Winding this shock leader on. There's a bit too much shock leader on here, but for what I do, I find it don't really interfere too much. So we've got the lid on, and what we're going to do, we're going to try not to get swept in. There's a bit of a lull, so we're just literally going to whack it out. It's gone miles. It's gone miles. It's gone a bit of an angle. It's gone a bit too far. Like you say, the first sort of cast, you're trying to find your feet. So, you know, I'm just looking where I am. That might have even gone in the rough ground. So that would not be good. This is the only line I've got, you see. With the big swells, it just, yeah, all right. So the rod's line's nice and high up like this on the spike. You can adjust it a bit more because obviously we're quite high up here, but these swells, you want to keep your line out of these stones here because it'll chafe it and bugger it up. But what we can do is a little screw on this underneath here. You can't see it, but there's a little screw under there, and what you can do, you can just, he says, you can see the you can see the line up there. That went bloody miles, that lead. We've got the 1/0 hook on there, so you never know. Flatfish, but it's really, we're looking sort of 30 yards ish, just out in front of us here is what we're looking for. So we'll see how we go. You know, if you get a bass bite, that'll just keel over kicking, so to speak. So we're back up there because obviously the swells, but all right, we'll see how we get on. All right, let's just check on the gear. Let's check on the gear. That's out. There's probably no need for me to cast that far out, but it's the first cast, you never really know what the lead and the rod's going to do, and there's no wind there. Just caught in the bottom here, what we've got here. You can see it just dug in the bottom there. There's a lot of bait. Bit of snot on the old, mine a bit of maize snotweed there. Right, a bit more bait on. More bait. No, you don't want to do that. So, twisted a bit. A little bit of bait on there. A little bit of weed out there. Slide him up. Looking a bit flushed. Oh. There's a bit in there. Let's whack on some. Oh. It's a good one. Bit more trickier on a smaller hook with a bigger worm. To sort of, you just grab the head and just slide it up. Quite good worms. Slide them on, slide them on. One. Just slide it down. round a few times, slide it down, just like so. A bit higher up. Right, try that. Sand everywhere. That's what you could do with a bucket of water, just dip your hands in. Just iron out any issues. So that can do its thing. A little bit of where I snipped off that other rig, it's still on there, it's just catching a bit of weed, a little bit of weed out there. Nothing to concern ourselves too much with. So out there anyway. Lovely. A big wave. We've got 4 lugworms on there. So about every 5 minutes. Nothing in 5 minutes. Bass usually whack the lugworm within 5 minutes. If they're there. After that it gets flushed or pecked at by prawns or crabs or little flatfish and things like that. So as a rule of thumb, I sort of usually don't wait too long. If I've got plenty of bait as well, there's no issue. So it's quite a good distance that. Plenty on there for a bit of scent. Could get quite a good one here like this. These sort of seas, that's absolutely beautiful. There's hardly any wind, but just a big rolling sea. So we're just looking for a typical bass clonk. Waves are pinging the line a bit, so the rod is 12 foot, and obviously we've got another 1.5 foot there, so she's 13 and a half there, plus we're up quite a bit. And the reason why I'm talking like that is because this line that wants to be above that shelf there. It's got to be right up high. Otherwise that'll chafe all your line. All those sort of things. Bit slack there. There's got to be a bass in that. Got to be. Look at it. So fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. That's a lovely bit of ocean, that is. Lure fishing. I feel relatively comfy lure fishing in that as well. If you're lure fishing in that, you really want some black lures. I sort of last time I was out I was doing, so I generally fish white when it's like this, but I'm starting to think more that the black lures would do it, because if you go in like a rock pool or something when the water's really mucky and you sort of you spook like a blenny or goby or something like that, they're really black and you could see them ever so clearly, and I read online that black lures are good when the water's mucky, and I totally believe it. It's not something I've done a lot of. I'm going to try and do a little bit more of, but just want that bass clonk. Right, so it's a nice succulent bait there. Where are we? Let's try that. Nearly got me. It's a real bass beach, that. Bass sea. Alright, we're about 50 yards, something like that. The advantage if you've got two rods, you could, you know, have one really close in as well as one out of range, one in close in. But bit of a walk to get this spot, carrying a lot of gear, and you know. Size them waves. Try a bit closer in. Settle down a little bit, but quite like the big swirls, big surf. See something there. Bait weren't too bad that time. Some quite good nick. Still a bit of blood in it. Just try that. 30 yards. Avoiding that because it was just, the sea was just so big, but that's just the tides. As the tides eased off, as the tides, I thought I had a little knock there. The tides eased off, that's sort of the sea settled down a bit. That's what it looks like. It's just, it has definitely settled down. So you never know. It might be coming in to have a. Because all the food's getting sort of, tides going this way, and obviously the surf's coming in and swashing, and there's going to be a channel out the front here full of food. So any crabs and things which haven't survived, you know, the wash in the. My theory is the fish, common knowledge, is the fish come in close to feed on that when there's a big surf running. Hey ho, we will see. I think we're in. Playing away. What it is, be a bloody dogfish or something. Bloody digging his on anyway. There's a fish there, I can feel that kick. It's off. Not as fast. Yeah. Yeah, beautiful little bass. Perfect. See what we'll do, we'll unhook him here. Made a mess of my reel, my line. Come on, you. I hate getting spiked by these bloody things. You weren't coming off. God almighty. Barbs are terrible. God almighty. Cannot get the bloody hook out. Got it. Poor little thing. Bloody hell, I could not get that bloody hook out. He's fine. He's fine. He's fine. He's still kicking like hell. God, I couldn't get that bloody hook out. He's away. Right, that's a good start. That's bang on low. Well, I think we had another bite, but the lead was gripping in so much that sort of gave him something to shake the hook. I don't think it was a big one anyway. So what I've done, I've just loosened up the wires on the gripper a bit so it can come out easier. It's just two of the wires are just sort of digging right into the sand as you're winding it. It's a very soft tip rod as well. It's just definite bite. I could tell by the bite it was just another similar sort of fish, but come on you. Right, slide it down. Lugworm sausage. A little bit of rag in there as well, white rag, which I think helps. Just there, look, at the top. So give that a few minutes. It's full worms. I was just loosening the wire on it. There's a little bit of weed up on the line there, so we're just gonna. That's nothing. No issues with that. Forecasted a bit of rain, but yeah, that's not good. So you've got two hooks on. Sometimes it will do that, which is not too clever. It'll just, the top hook will catch in the lugworm. It's quite a short trace, but checks. Just redo the shot leader. Do it over here. Be alright. Brakes on full. A little bit further really, ideally, but I got that that shock leader's rigged up for the other rod, you see. That's quite long, sort of put me off a little bit. First cast I done went bloody miles, but generally that's a good spot though. That sort of 30-yard sort of area is pretty good for bass. That's this gutter here, it's this swash, and the food is, it's like you go right out. It's like you can get them out there too, but it's, you know, when you think about when you're lure fishing, you think how far they are when they whack that. That's pretty similar with baits as well. Obviously we're going to get a lot more attention with the breakers and stuff close in there, but so that's gone pretty slack there. So see how that lead behaves. It was digging in. So you can see that very well up there, but that's just a got a fresh bait out, that's the key. That's just the breakers pinging on it. It has calmed down a lot. It's not as, the ocean's not as big as it once was. So I think that's slack water now. So I've had a fish anyway, but it's not been, you know, on fire. But these tides, they're not, you know, what I call bass tides really. They're just sort of, you know, mediocre tides, and they're all worth fishing. All worth fishing. See if we can get a decent one. Well, we're struggling. You wouldn't think you would do in a sea like that, but we are. So that's getting towards low tide, slack water, and that's nothing an hour and a half before. So there's certainly not going to be a lot of fish about, but whether we can get the solitary fish or what, I don't know. Can only try. These are Neap tides, I think. These are not big tides, but we're still in the second week of June, so never know. Big set coming in up out there. So where that's breaking there, that's a reef there. and I'm just to the side of it. But the bait, I mean, that last one was about 10 minutes and there went bugger all on it really. There was a little bit on it, but with lugworm, my experience, bass, they whack it, if they're there, they'll whack it within a couple of minutes. It's pretty instant if they're on it. So, got our bait on there. It's not coming back tangled, not had any bites. So, just have to probably grab this stuff and move it a little bit closer. The tide's actually gone down quite a lot since I've been here. It was sloshing just here when I first come. The sea's settled down a lot. The tide's eased. About 40-50 yards, I'd say. See that reef there, look. Just breaks. Sand here. So, just looking for something that for the bass bite, that's what we're looking for. It's not a lot of weed in all that. A little bit around the shot leader knot. Come on fish, where are you? Right, so we're going to pack up. We're going to pack up. The tide is it's just about to turn, I think. I'm just sort of looking at my bait. I want to save it for another session. And so we've had one fish. It's been pretty slow to be caught. I'm considering the quality bait I've been chucking out there. It's not worth me putting more bait out. I mean, sometimes on the lures you can get the bass as the tide starts to turn and come this way. For half an hour I've had one or two like that on the lures as the tide starts to come the other way. So but there's not a lot of fish about on this tide. You know, mirrors the you know, the small schoolie we've had. So it's a beautiful bass sea, but if the fish aren't there, the fish aren't there. So we've given it a go anyway. So it's been all right. You know, we've had one. This 4-ounce lead's been a bastard digging in though. Fucking hell. Loosened the wires and everything, but it casts quite nicely on that. The rig just got just 2 hooks on there. Look. 1-0. It's hooked on that. Didn't want to come off. Couldn't get the hook out very well. And a slightly bigger one above. Sometimes they come on the bigger one as well, on the long bait. So yeah, it works quite nicely. The reel on the multiplier on the carp rod, or whatever you want to call it, history rod. And but no, that's perfect. That is. But what you want this coinciding with some big tides. The back end of some big tides. You want it just like this. You know, you want the combination of big tides with a good sea running, fishable, you know, castable. No, the wind's behind us as well. Nice rollers coming in. That's absolutely perfect. But they seem to appear more on the biggest tides, back end of the bigger tides. Because theory is they get starved in the big tides. They get hungry in it. So you know, the back end of the tides, they're starving and they come in. So if you can get optimum conditions as well. But any time they reckon is a good time for a lunker one, a real decent one. But you just got to put the time in really. But that's just a shame we just sort of, you know, not nailing some slightly bigger bass. But there you are. Okay then guys, thanks for watching. Please subscribe to my channel. More videos along the way, probably going to go on Friday. And I'm going to use the rest of that bait up. I might have a rod out for smooth hand, just see what the conditions are like. It wants to be nice and calm for a smooth hand. But righty-ho, I'll see you later.